Let me tell you something. We were stealing the tax money, but we were cutting prices at the pump. So we were giving some of the money back. Right, you would love us right now. They called us the Robin Hoods because we were giving money back to the people because we were digging into the tax money. So we would drop the prices at the pump.
When you went to prison, that was over the gasoline thing?
Yeah.
What exactly was that? Are you allowed to talk about it?
Yeah, I mean, basically we figured out we had a scheme to defraud the government out of tax on every gallon of gasoline. And I ran that for about between 7 and 8 years. I had the Russian mob guys were my partners. And basically at the time, the tax on gasoline, state and local, was about 25 to 30 cents, and the feds were 9 cents. So we had about 40 cents a gallon. And at the height of my operation, we're selling 500 million gallons of gas a month, and we're taking down 20, 30, 40 cents a gallon, whatever we wanted to whatever deal we wanted to make. So one point in time, we're taking in 8 to 10 million a week.
Wow.
In real money.
Where does that money go?
Well, we had expenses, but
I can't say that, Tim.
Yeah.
No, but as an aside, I mean, with a profit like that, general question, I mean, well, are you allowed to say like how much you got personally?
Yeah. Listen, it was basically I'll tell you what happened. When I realized what I had, and I can get into the whole backstory, but when I realized what I had and that this was going to be a real deal, I went to my boss at the time, Carmine Persico. He's dead now. And I said, Junior, we called him Junior. I said, Junior, look, I'm going to show you more money than you've ever seen before. And he looked at me, he said, we don't do drugs. I said, Junior, come on. You know I hate drugs. Nothing to do with drugs. He said, what is it? I said, it's gas. He said, gas. I said, yes. It's a tax scheme. We're going to defraud the government out of tax on every gallon of gasoline. I said, but here's what's going to happen. He said, what? I said, everybody's going to want to get involved in this. Across the board, all 5 families, when they see the amount of money, is it going to be that much? I said, trust me. When they see the amount of money, everybody's going to want a piece. When that happens, we're going to blow it. So what do you want me to do? I says, every time I have an argument, I got to win. I said, I'm going to be right. I got to win. Play no politics, nothing like that. I said, just make me win. I'll be right every time. I says, and I'll show you more money than you've ever seen before. So I'll never forget. He sat back. He said, show me. Okay? I was bringing him $1.2 million a week. That buys a lot of loyalty.
Yeah,
I never lost an argument. And I'm telling you, everybody, Gotti and people came at me. I'll tell you a funny story. I've said it before. Word gets out when you're doing that, right? And I had a pretty big crew. So Fat Tony was the boss of the Genovese family. And do you know who Fat Tony was?
I heard the name,
okay. Right out of, you know who he is, Tim?
No.
Right out of Central Casting. He was about 5'6", a little bit chubby, wore a fedora, smoked a cigar, and had the gravelly voice, right? Just like that, typical mob guy. So he had a club in Harlem. So he calls me, he sends for me, rather, to come and see him. So I go put it on record. Whenever you go see the boss of another family, you got to put it on record with your guy that you're going there, right? And I was a captain at the time. So I'll never forget, it was a summer day. It was in August, I think. So I go see him in Harlem, and he's sitting outside his social club with 3 or 4 guys. And he's sitting there, hands on his belly. He's got the cigar and the fedora. He comes out to me, he says, we just do all the niceties. He said, Mike, let me ask you a question. I said, what, Tony? He said, you're doing good, huh? I said, yeah, Tony, I'm okay. He says, you making money? I said, Tony, no complaints. He says, what do you got, gas or something? I said, yeah, we figured out a scheme. We're doing okay. You're robbing the government? I said, absolutely. He said, that's good. That's good. So then he says to me, he says, I need a favor from you. I said, Tony, anything you want. You're the boss. What could I do for you? He says, just like this. I got these 5 Mamalukes around me. They can't earn 3 cents. He says, you give them a job? I said, yeah, Tony, I can give them a job. He said, what will they do? I said, well, I had about 300 gas stations I either operated or leased at the time, right? I said, Tony, how about I give them a job? They'll run a gas station for me. It's easy. They collect the money and they'll watch the guys. I said, but Tony, don't let them rob me. These guys, they rob you, I'll cut off their hands, their wrists, just like that, right? I said, no, you don't have to do that. He said, don't worry about it. So I said, you got it, Tony. He says, how much are they going to earn? So now I'm thinking, I don't want to insult the boss, but I'm thinking for a minute. I says, Tony, how about I give him $1,500 a week, and this back in the 80s, $1,500 a week each. He looks at me, he almost dropped a cigar. He goes, $1,500? Give them $500, give me the $1,000. I said, Tony, you got it,
Oh,
right?
man, that's amazing.
In front of them. In front of
Yes,
them.
right in front of them, yeah.
Wow.
So I'm saying you make a lot of friends when you're doing that.
Yeah.
And you spread the money around, you make people earn. You know, that's part of that life.
So, I mean, was this just that you owned 300 gas stations and you
We
didn't
either
pay your
owned
taxes?
or operated. We either owned or released them, you know, whatever. If we could, but we owned all the, you know, Grand Central Parkway, you know, all those Parkway stations. We had
Really?
Oh, wow,
And
really?
you're just scooping up all the tax.
all the tax. Yeah.
But
Wow.
are you literally just not paying taxes?
You're not paying the tax, yeah.
So-
I had 18 companies. They were shell companies. And it was a daisy chain. You could
Right.
get, the way we worked it, you could get about 10 months out of the government before they come down on you. And come down on you. All we had was an office that this thing was operating on. So they come
find
down at
nothing.
10 months, they rate it, we close it down, we jump on to the next license in a different part of
How
town.
soon after you started this does it take for them to kind of start catching on?
10 months.
Is it 10 months for you? Okay, and then how do they catch you eventually?
Well, they don't. You know, they never caught us. The only way they got us is
Wow.
my partner became an informant.
Ah, that's
Yeah.
it. That's it. It's always
Okay. But were you on trial for that stuff?
I didn't go. I took a plea on that.
Okay.
That's the one I took the plea on.
Wow. Wow.
So how does what is you basically have a shell company? It's running gas stations. It doesn't pay taxes, and they come to this company and say you're not paying your taxes, and you're like, okay, well then the company's out of business. Is that it?
Yeah. I mean, you're simplifying it, but
Right.
we had to give reports. So every month I had accountants working, and every month they would send in the report but not pay any money, and it would be a whole process. And then finally, after 10 months, they're mad, they're upset, and they come and raid your office. The office is closed, the license is gone, and we're on to the next license in another part of town.
How much would you have made if you paid the taxes? I mean, gas stations make money, right?
Yeah, but here's the deal. Let's say we had, you know how it is in Long Island. You can have a big intersection where you have 4 gas stations, one on each corner, right?
Yeah.
So I'd scoop up one gas station. I'd go to the other 3. I'd call them all in. I said, come here, I want to talk to all you guys. I said, listen, here's the deal. Whatever you sell your gas for, I'm going to be 2 cents under you. Wow. If you try to go 2 cents under me, I'll go 5 cents under that. You go 5, I'll go 10.
Wow.
I said, until I put you out of business, I'll keep going. So that's the deal. Now, they kind of knew what I was doing, but they didn't know. So before long, they're all buying gas from me anyway, you know? And I would go to them and I'd say, you're a mobile station. How many loads you buying from mobile? Oh, I buy 6. Okay. Buy 4 from them, buy 2 from me. Because for me, I'm going to save you 10 cents a gallon. That's a lot of money for, 10 cents a gallon cheaper. All I do is I give them a bill of sale, all taxes included. That's all they cared about.
Right.
You know?
So this ended up actually, these other gas stations were benefiting.
Oh, absolutely. Let me tell you something. We were stealing the tax money, but we were cutting prices at the pump. So we were giving some of the money back. You would love us right now. They called us the Robin Hoods because we were giving money back to the people because we were digging into the tax money. So we would drop the prices at the pump.
How?
Because we didn't care. If we made 10 cents a gallon, 20 cents a gallon, what was the difference?
How long after the gas shortages in the city was this?
Oh, well, this was, when we were doing this, it was I started this in like 78.
So Carter.
We were right up to 85, yeah.
Wow. Because the gas shortages, the lines in like the Bronx and Brooklyn, and you had different plate numbers. You can go get your gas. There was like shootouts sometimes waiting for
You know how
gas.
it got? I bought a terminal off of British Petroleum. We had I think it was 3 million gallons it would hold, but we were buying barges from all the major oil companies. Now, when the feds had an inkling, they were trying to figure out what we were doing. Well, they went to all the majors and they said, these guys are mob guys and they're buying gas from you and they're going to your gas station. And they would say, oh, we're upset with them and we're going to watch for it. They didn't care because we were buying the gas off of them and selling it back to their stations. They didn't care. We were increasing their business.
Yeah.
Incredible.
One day I had a Mazda dealership that I owned, a Mazda and a Chevrolet dealership. So I'm in my office and 2 FBI agents come over and they say, Franzese, we got to talk to you. So I said, okay, we go outside. And they said, listen, this was after about 5 years we're in the business. We know what you're doing. We just can't figure it out. Okay? Tell us what you're doing. We'll give you a pass. Yeah, they're going to give me a pass, right?
Yeah.
I was born in the morning, not yesterday. I said, guys, I go to the gas station. I put gas in I don't know what you're talking about. You want to buy a car? I'll give you a good price on a car. You don't want to tell us? I said, I don't know what you're talking about. They cursed me out and everything. We're going to put you away forever and all this. Guy said, oh, okay. Come back later. You feel better.
Did you just say, I'm running a bunch of gas stations. It's a legitimate business. We make a lot of money.
I never even admitted to the
Too much.
Oh, not even that you owned it.
So I have nothing to do with it. I don't know what you're talking about. You know? Yeah.
How about getting involved with the unions in the city? It's such a big deal. The unions today still seem like they're kind of mob-ish in the way they make people vote in certain ways.
Yeah, not like before when we had control over the unions, you know. Look, we started the unions way back when. I mean, you know, it was with our help, I should say, we started the unions, but huge money maker. I mean, I had a job in Glen Oaks. There were apartment to condominium conversions.
Okay.
It was 3,500 of them. It was the biggest job in the city, in the country at that time. Whoa. So my friend was a contractor there, and he called me up, and I made a deal with Jerry Gutterman to keep the union out. I said, under two conditions, because we'll keep the union out, we'll save you some money. I said, but I got to be a general contractor, and all the subs will come in through me. So I became the contractor. We kept the union out. I went to every single trade. I said, look, we'll put one of your people in so that it is a union job, but only one person at a time. And then we paid them, you know, for that, and we kept the union out. And Gutterman made a lot more money than he would have with the union. I was making money as the GC. I mean, that's how we worked it. So everybody was happy at the end of the day. They make it seem like everybody was happy.
Right.
People, Donald Trump, come on, he was with the mob and he was paying off the mob. I said, yeah, so was, you know, Jerry Gutterman and so was Hemsley and everybody else. If you wanted to build something in New York, you had to deal with us, period.
Because you were running concrete, right?
Everything, yeah.
Everything.
Concrete big. Yeah. Concrete was among the families. They all had a piece of that, but everything.
You built the city in a big way.
Absolutely. And it's built, right? The buildings look beautiful.
Sure, it's built.
Yeah, they're not falling down, so we did a good job.
Things are getting kind of bad these days, though. Buildings are still standing, but it's kind of sad how it's being mismanaged.
I think the unions are going to start turning against the Democrats, honestly, because I'm seeing the Teamsters did. I'm thinking, like, I know people in hotel and trades union, and they've pretty much voted a certain way for a long time, but they're giving hotels up to immigrants now, to the illegal aliens coming in. And I know I have family we used to work in that hotel, and we're not working there anymore because
the only union the real union that they have locked up is the teachers union.
Yeah, for sure. Because
they don't care about the kids. You know, they're sacrificing our kids, and it's terrible. Terrible.
That's wild. Real quick, just because the gas station story is so fascinating to me. What was the reason it ended? You had a guy turn informant, and they came after you.
My partner was he was 6'5". He weighed 450 pounds. Yeah, but he was.
I hope that was muscle.
No, it wasn't. But you know what? He wasn't a sloppy fat. He was big. You know, he was a big guy. And we're partners for 7 years. We never had an ill word between us. His kids used to call me Uncle Mike. My kids called him, you know, Uncle Larry. But he got in trouble on an unrelated case, a tax case. He's halfway through the trial. He and I, we had a jet plane, we had a helicopter, we had homes in Boca Raton next to each other, right?
Oh, well.
So he gets in trouble on this case. He's in trial, and he says, "I'm not staying. I can't go to jail. Look at how big I am." I said, "No, Larry." I said, "Maybe they'll give you 2 years if you get convicted." I said, "If you run, they're going to catch you sometime. They're going to add on another 5." I said, "Finish the trial." Can't do it. We had a compound in Panama. You know, we had down there. The reason we had it there is allegedly there was no, what do you call it, deportation.
Extradition.
Yeah, extradition rather, between Panama and the United States. So we had this compound down there. And so he says, "I'm going to live down there." He says, "I can still run part of the operation from there." I said, "You're crazy." But he went, right? Well, this is what this maniac does. His daughter is getting married in Austria, and he starts sending out invitations from Panama that his daughter's in. So now there's no extradition, right? But the feds don't care about that. What do? They make some kind of deal with Noriega, and they go down there and they kidnap him in the middle of the night.
Damn.
And they bring him to Florida.
Larry.
And the FBI agent told me this afterwards. He said, "Michael, he's 450. He took one look at that little cot, and he says, 'I'll tell you anything you want to know about Michael.'" And he became the informant. And he blew the whistle on the whole operation. So that's when I took a plea for that. But you know.
So is that guy in jail or did he make a deal?
No, listen to what happens, right? He just loved the game of doing this. I mean, the guy was insane. He was very smart. Don't get me wrong, but he testifies. He didn't testify. He makes the deal against me. They release him. They give him back $2.5 million of stolen gas tax money. That was part of the deal. And I told the feds at the time, I said, listen, he'll never be out of the gas business. He knows it too well. There's too much money in it, right? So he leaves New York. He goes to goes to Texas, and he starts an operation down there. He has his whole family working for him. Well, after about 2 years, the feds go down, and they indict him there. He immediately tells them, there's some things I didn't tell you about Michael. I was already doing my time. They didn't care.
Damn.
And what happens? His son and his daughter testified against him.
Wow.